Hi, we're live. We're live right now.
I don't even, whatever. Doesn't.
Look.
Go ahead, get us started. Get us started.
Oh my God, I swear. We're live right now, so let's say hi to everybody. Hi everyone. We do not have a name for our show right now, but we're calling it Welcome to Ray and Sarai Show until we figure out the name. And we did have a name. I forgot what name you had said a little while ago. But our topic today is resistance to inevitable change. And Raymond, are you gonna put some music on?
No, I'm not gonna put music on. We come into music. We already started. Let's roll.
I had to press it. I had to press it. All right. So did you share everywhere?
I don't know. I don't know how to do all that.
I'm already.
How do you do all that?
I'm just gonna do it myself. But you could. Why don't you just say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody.
Oh my! I swear.
I am super stressed out because this is we were very unprepared for tonight.
Oh
I'm very transparent. So you guys know me. Look, how we doing tonight? My son was asking me how to deposit a check online at the last minute, so I was getting pulled 10 different ways. That's what happens with life. But how you guys doing this wonderful Wednesday? This is the Wednesday grind. This is what I call the Wednesday grind. So hopefully this 7:30 Wednesday night works for everybody. If it doesn't, then you can catch the replay. So let us know. As you guys know, I am your man, Ray. I am your motivator, inspirator, and most importantly, your transformator. Because this is where we are going to get you from where you are to where you want to go. And we will give you some value and we'll give you some knowledge. But tonight, there was no music, so the hype is going to have to come from me and Queen Sarai. So she's going to have to raise her enthusiasm tonight.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing. I'm totally laughing. Like I think it's not the same if you don't bring on the music. So maybe you should bring the music. Like you need to bring the music. It's just not the same without it. It's not the same without the music.
Okay.
It's not
Listen, we got to get off of the music tip. The music's not coming on. We got to get over the music. We got to have an impactful night.
Mm-hmm.
Are you even paying attention?
Yes, I'm just sharing. I'm sharing everywhere right now. That's what I'm doing.
Oh.
And
I don't know.
I thought you were gonna have music, but let's say hi. Let's say hi to people. Let's see who's out there. So look, we have so many people.
I can't see any. Why can't I ever see anything?
Oh God, somebody's in a.
Oh, did you know that there's a button here I can click comments and see it too?
No, I didn't know that. Okay, well,
I can see the comments on. Look at that.
We learned something new. Elke's there, Igdalia's there, Carrie's there.
Hi, Elke. Hi, Igdalia.
And we're just letting
Alexandria's in the house.
Mm-hmm. We're just waiting for everybody to come in while I share. And we're gonna have like an awesome night because I know he said we're not prepared, but he got super prepared. He gave me like I don't know how many points that I had to type up here. So you'll be seeing them in a second. What he didn't get prepared for was the music. And apparently Ray don't work right without his music. So
what do you mean? I think I don't even know what you just said. It didn't even make sense to me. Hi, Carrie. That like what you just said. Hey guys, no, I gotta be honest because we're just starting this podcast and we're gonna get better. This is something that I see that's gonna be going on. So we were actually arguing before we came on. We just gotta be honest. We were arguing before we came on. So and I think the reason we argue, guys, is because we do want it to be maximum value. We do want it to be the best it possibly can. So, sometimes you got to iron things out.
Look, the Ray and Sarai show.
That's what you said.
Yeah, but she says the Ray and Sarai show. It could be that simple. That's what Igdalia said.
It can, but I'll be honest with you. It sounds like Pinky in the Brain. Like, what's up, Zori?
I have a feeling people are going to be watching us fight a lot. throughout the
Well,
week?
so I don't even know. I don't even know how to respond to that.
All right, so
But
welcome.
I can tell you, like, whoo,
All right, so
blood pressure.
I'm gonna welcome everybody. And if you're on here and we've never met before, if this is the first time you meet us, my name is Sarai Nammur. I am a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. I am not the transformational, blah, blah, all that stuff. That's over here. But me, I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I'm passionate about helping people transform into their greatest selves. I'm passionate about transforming all your pain and all your adversity and everything you've been through into your strength. And I think basically that's what this podcast is going to be all about, is like, or a big chunk of it is going to be about helping you become the greatest version of you. And the only way that's truly possible is by you becoming more of you. You are an original. There are many, many, many copies out there, and you don't need to be a copy. You need to be an original, because that's what you are. There's only one of you in the world. So that's what I'm passionate about. And I'm going to I don't know, I'm pointing in the other direction, but somehow it's going like that. But anyway.
But I know what you mean when you point. I know what that means, though.
So I'm going
like,
to introduce you now to my partner here,
okay,
Ray
all
Ray.
right.
And Ray Ray is the transformational and
Please let me reintroduce myself.
the
No,
transformer.
I already gave my introduction. But my name is Raymond Wright. I'm founder of Right Way Leadership Transformational Coaching. And again, my ultimate goal in life is to leave an eternal legacy that lives on through people's works. I want to help people really live their true potential and their true greatness. And I want people to be their most authentic self that they can be, because I believe true greatness comes when you claim your true authority in yourself. And that's basically what this whole podcast is going to be. I think the value that you're going to get, because I'm all about adding content and adding value. I love you too, Elkie. Is always have a pen, always have a notepad, because even the licensed counselor, trauma therapist on my left over here, like, she's going to say some things that I'm going to write down, right? There's so many great, now I can't keep up with myself, so I got to listen to recordings sometimes. But just know that everything we put together is really to bring you maximum value. Period. Right? And I came up with a name. And it was called Maximize Your Mindset.
So yeah, that's a name that he came up with, that Raymond came up with for our podcast. And but we don't have anything to compare it to. So if you guys think Maximize Your Mindset is a good name for our podcast, then put a 1. And if you think what Igdalia said, what was it that Igdalia
said?
She said the Ray and Sarai show. If you think the Ray and Sarai show is a good name for us, then put a number 2. Or if you think neither, put number 3. So you could do that for us, because man, we're having a real hard time like figuring this out for some reason. We can't come up with a name.
Look. This bottom line is this: we're only going to get better. It's only going to get more crisp. Neither one of us have ever done anything like this before. I mean, I do my lives and I do this, but we're actually trying to create something long term that, to me, my vision, it goes to multiple countries. It goes all over the place, because right now I think we're in a time, the movement that we're in, I believe we're in a movement to wake people up, right? Yeah. I was saying it yesterday in my live, is what I was saying is, what are people doing during these times to better themselves coming out of it? I think that's critical. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about it, with whatever the title was.
The title was Maximize Your Mindset. What the title number 1 was Maximize Your Mindset.
No. That Maximize Your Mindset was what we were talking about for our group. But I'm talking about the title of the talk.
I know, because Stacy asked. Look, Stacy asked us. Stacy just finished.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not. Look, you guys know when I'm. Look, when I'm talking, man, it's hard for me to do two things at once.
So one of the things was maximize your mindset, Stacy. The second one was the Ray and Sarai show, and the third one is neither. So just vote on that, neither
Okay.
or one or two. One was maximize your
We need to
mindset.
get into the show.
Okay, and Zori says we don't need to feel pressure and rush a name for your show. Name the topic for now.
Thank you, Zori. Oh my gosh, see, me and Zori are on the same page right now.
All right, here
I'm
we
like,
go.
let's.
All right, so the topic for today is resistance to inevitable change. So that's about like how we are.
Did you say resistive?
Resistance?
Oh, okay, I just wanted to make sure you said the right word.
I did say the right word. Resistance to inevitable change. So that what that basically means, I mean, it's right there in the title. Resistance is how we are, we're just creatures. We're human beings that are, the majority of us are very resistant to inevitable change, or even just to change. Period. We're very resistant to inevitable change. So we're going to talk about that today. That's Raymond. Want to say something about resistance to inevitable change?
I think I speak about it a lot. I think a lot of times we stay stuck because there's a gap. There's a gap, whether it's an age gap, whether it's a relationship gap, whether it's a financial gap, whether it's a spiritual gap, wherever it is, we become resistant because we feel we lack something, or we feel like we're not ready, or we have to be perfectly set up. And when your resistance to opportunities and I mean all types of affairs in your life, then I mean, to be honest with you, change is not going to come your way. It's not going to come your way. Well, but the thing that's different is change always happens. Change is a daily thing.
So change is going to come your way. It's just not going to be positive change because we're resisting it. We're resisting that change.
Well, but I think that also goes back to the thing where you could say it's not going to be positive or negative, but I also believe that you can stay the same person for 5 years. It won't get gooder or badder. Gooder or better. It won't get better and it won't get worse, but you'll stay stuck. And that sometimes becomes just a complete inner battle with yourself. You know what I mean? Could you imagine could you imagine living another 5 years and being exactly where you are right now?
Yeah, and that happens to a lot of people.
That scares me.
But you know what?
That scares me.
When that happens, when 5 years go by and you're exactly where you were 5 years ago, that doesn't even mean that you stayed the same. That means you got worse, because we're supposed to be growing and getting better as time goes by. So the fact that if you remain the same for 1 year or 5 years, that means you actually got worse.
You're trying to argue already.
No, that
I know
means
what you're saying.
Worse. You actually got worse because you're supposed to get better.
I just feel like you're trying to have an argument.
Oh, do you see what I got to deal with, people? Like, okay. So there's two truths about change. So two truths about change is that everyone experiences change, and the other truth is that almost no one likes them. Almost no one really likes change. So those are the main two truths. I can't even say that. Two truths. Sometimes I have problems saying like words together, but those are the two truths. So that is true for all of us. Two what?
Two truths.
Two truths. I can't even say them. Okay, so point one, Raymond. This was Raymond's first point. We want to hold on to the way it always was. So this is one of the we have like 7 points for you tonight. One reason why we are so resistant to inevitable change is we want to hold on to the way it always was. Right, Raymond? It's your point.
Yes.
Did you freeze?
No, no, I didn't freeze. I thought you were freezing.
No. Okay, go ahead.
So okay. So we want to hold on to the way it always was. I think sometimes, and I'm just going to speak on my journey. I think when I started in the process, I would make comments like this: I'm just going to go back to the old me. It was so much easier when I didn't care. Right? So, right, that's what I used to say to myself, like, because what is unfamiliar, it's difficult, right? Even though when we hold on to these limiting beliefs, to this destructive behaviors, all this stuff, the problem is it's familiar. It's familiar for us. Right. So we don't want it to change because it's comfortable. We know, like when you respond like a jerk, you know what to expect. When you respond in love, you might get treated like a jerk, right? See, and when we try to become outside of ourselves, we start to go back to the old patterns because we don't change the things in front of us. We don't change the relationships. We don't change specifics. So we hold on to what we believe is true. And I'm going to be honest with you. Most of the stuff that we believe is true is just not true. It's just these limiting beliefs, these broken thoughts that other people have implanted into our heads that we're holding on to. And as long as you hold on to them,
and some of those things, that's such a good point that you just made, because some of the things that we hold on to is simply the narrative and the story that we tell ourselves to keep ourselves safe. So we tell ourselves certain stories to give us a justification to not change, to not make that big decision, to not make that big move, to not start that business, to not leave that relationship that no longer works, all of those things. And so we end up, since we know the truth is that it should be done, we start telling ourselves a story to justify why we shouldn't do it. But that's our brain's way of protecting us from danger, because we sense that change, all of our brains work the same. And we all feel that our brain thinks that any change is danger. So our brain is trying to protect us from that danger. But in reality, a lot of the times, man, when you take a chance on yourself and you make that move, life will be so amazing. And is it, like you're always saying this, you're always saying, like, will it be tough? Yeah, it'll be tough. But on the other side, there's something amazing on the other side, because what's on this side?
Yeah.
What's on this side if we don't make
but I like when you said that, because, look at where you're at right now and truly identify, am I where I want to be? But I think we'll be discussing that a little bit more as we go on.
Yeah. And then this also leads to complacency. A lot of us become complacent with our situation because it's not bad enough. And they always say good is the enemy of great, because it's good enough. It's good enough to stay here. It's good, or my job is good enough to where, I'm getting paid good enough, or it's good enough and I don't really need to make big changes. But that good enough is the enemy. That good enough won't make you move. It won't make you change. It won't make you make big changes in your life that are necessary for greatness. And since we're always talking about greatness and we're always talking about the dream, the reality is that good enough is the enemy of our dreams. It's the enemy of ultimately what we really are meant to be doing with our lives and really are meant to be experiencing. Because we're not here to experience good. Are we here to experience good, Raymond?
No.
What are we here to experience? Greatness.
Ultimate potential.
I feel like you just zoned out when I was talking, as usual. You always zone out when I talk. You start.
No, I was thinking like I think she's already diving into the other topics.
Hey guys, I want to say something in between. While we're talking, you guys are part of our show. It's not just me and Raymond. It's me, Raymond, and you guys. Maybe that could be part of the top of the thing. So if you guys have any questions or anything you want to say, go ahead and say it. So Stacy says yes. So blessed. Jack says yes. Greatness. So we're meant for
Jack Cross in the house.
We're not meant for good enough. We're not meant for mediocre living. We're not meant for any of that. And the more we stay complacent, and it starts even with our days. Like if we have a so good enough day, and tomorrow we have a so good enough day, and next week is so good enough, and then the next month is so good enough, we end up having a so good enough year. And if you have enough of those type of years, you end up having a so good enough life. And I definitely don't want that. I definitely don't want that. Like, I know Raymond looks so sad right now. I know he doesn't want it either. I know. Well, let's move on to the next one, because Raymond's dying for me to move on. Stacy says, move beyond status quo, and it's not about how big your paycheck is. It's about how you are living your God-ordained purpose.
But I want to touch on that too, though. So go back to Stacy real quick,
Sorry,
because this move beyond the status quo. It's not about the paycheck, but I think sometimes that people are supposed to go out and provide a great service and create a great income, never do, because they use God as the excuse. Right? I am a God-fearing man. I put God first and foremost. But I know that there are people that God ordained for great things to do great things in the community and in the state and so forth and so on. One of the things that I think affects a lot of people's greatness is they do use faith as an excuse, right? So what I tend to do is when I get into communication with people like that is it's not worth an argument. Some people will stay so limited to a God that they say is bigger than anything, but they'll stay limited into these low beliefs that they have because they don't think that they're supposed to do abundantly more. No, you're supposed to do abundantly more. And if you have a service or something that God has planted in you, then you are supposed to perform it at a high level. And the rewards will come, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in finances, whether it's in business, whether it's in serving, whether it's in speaking, whatever it is, it will be awarded to you. So like that's one thing. And I know Stacy probably has come across people like that. And I have come across so many people. So I just wanted to touch on that. So next point, let's go.
Well, I mean, that's true. That's true because our God is our God is a God of greatness, and He's a God of abundance. So if you don't have abundance and greatness in your life, then you're not really believing in the promise. So that's part of that. I'll move on to the next one. Let me see. We want to hold on to. Okay, the next one is. So what are some locks that you need to unlock? What are some locks you need to unlock to really move past that good and that complacent place where you're at, so that you could achieve greatness, and so that you could have an abundant life? Like whatever your biggest dream is, let's just notch it, put it up like 10 more steps, because you're probably cutting yourself short with the dream that you have. Probably what you're actually truly capable of is so much more than what your dream is or what your vision is. So what are some locks you need to unlock? And you guys could respond on, if you want to respond out there. On some locks.
Let me give a couple examples, right?
Okay.
I always say that we can all list 5, 10, we can all come up with something different, but I think I want to tell you a couple that I think really, when you talk about locks, right?
Okay.
Is resistance. What are you resistant to? What are you afraid of? What change has got you stuck? Was it a sexual abuse thing? Was it a relationship, a breakup? Was it a divorce? Was it something that happened to your child? What is the resistance that's not allowing you? Because there's some things that happen in people's lives where they don't think they can take the next step because they're not worthy, or it's not fair, or it's not like I have an issue with that. Like, I went through all this stuff and I did all this stuff. So instead of saying I'm worthy of it, I say, who am I to go? Like who am I to succeed and not anybody else in my family, right? And then I think there's defensiveness. What?
Such a good point.
I love when you do that. You're like,
no, that's such a good point, because the truth is, those are the best. That's the best example of what a lock is. A lock is, stuff, because we weren't born with these locks. You don't see any baby or any, that fear that we all have to move forward. We learn those fears, and they're given to us. They're implanted in us by the things that are done to us, by the things that are said to us, by the way we were raised, by our culture, by our religion, by whatever these things are. Those are the type of locks that perhaps now as an adult we need to unlock in order for us to start having a bigger and greater belief in our future and in our possibilities. So the locks that you're talking about are the mental locks that we have in our mind, that story that we tell ourselves that says, oh, you can't do it, oh, you don't deserve it, oh, you really think you could do that? You really think? And there could even be people in your life right now that are questioning, do you really think you could do that? Oh, you're crazy, you're crazy to think that. So those are the type of locks that we're talking about. Let me see. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. I just said that today. The devil is liar.
So I wanna touch. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I want to make sure we kind of stay on point too. You're much better at looking at the comments than I am. But I want people to understand with this first thing, until you find the key that unlocks your locks, right? You have to know what's the opposite of resistance.
You're asking me?
Yeah, like what if I ask you, what
surrender.
If there's some
the opposite of resistance is surrender. To me, I think that's what it is.
Surrender. I mean, that's to me, it's also could be acknowledging. It's acknowledging that these things that are holding you back. It's I always say, like, some of these things that have happened to in the past, it's this. It's, you have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge that these things happen, right? And then you have to accept it, right? And then you got to appreciate it. Like, to me, that's to me. It's acknowledge, accept, and appreciate that these things have affected that these are the locks. And the reason I say appreciate it, because these are the things that you're going to use in your story and your testimony, not to only grow in your business, to grow in your relationships, to grow in your endeavors, but you're going to help other people appreciate the things that have happened to them so they can use it in their story as well.
And and then I also say surrender because what resistance means that you're holding on to something, that you're holding on to your story, or you're holding on to the past, or you're holding on to those type of things. So to me, surrender is letting go. So when you let go, when you let go of the past, it's no longer really affecting you today. The past is way back there. We can't even do anything about it. But the more we hold on to it, or even the more we hold on to our old dreams, because our dreams are supposed to evolve and our visions are supposed to evolve. We have one ultimate vision, but there's many, like there's, what is it? Like we were saying about Oz. Well, I won't say Oz. I'll say there are many roads to Rome, but we might have an idea. We might have had an idea 20 years ago of what our greatest life would be 20 years from that time. But as we grow and move forward, that's why growth is so important. As we grow and move forward, our vision evolves into something bigger and greater, because now 20 years later, we have more information, we have more experience, we have more of everything, we have more knowledge, we're more wise, to where our vision evolves into something bigger and greater. So we would have
we should be, right? We should be.
Yeah,
we should be. We should be more wise. We should have more vision. But that's what we were talking about, the first thing. That's what's so important, is you don't even know what door to unlock if you don't have a vision, if you don't have expectation, if you ain't willing to change. Then you're never going to know what key to get for that lock anyways.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes, exactly. Good point. So Zori says, tell me about it. I hear it often. Go ahead.
I wanted to share. I'm not gonna touch, because I think this is a talk. As I'm thinking about these, this is a talk for another time. But maybe we can do a talk where it's talking about, maybe we can come up with some of the doors, such as resistance, right? Defensiveness. We're very defensive, and when you play a defensive life, you can never go on offense, right? So if I'm always defensive, then I'm never going to be able to empathize with anybody, because I'm always looking to retaliate, or always looking to get my opinion across. And then there's judgment. Judgment will crush you. Judging other people it goes in line with comparison. When you begin to judge people, that will destroy anything that you want to conquer in your life. The better you, the better life, the better relationships, anything, by judging other people because you don't know their story. That's the most important thing, is not knowing their story. And then envy will keep you trapped too. Is one of them locks. And then resentment is the thief of all joy. Yes. So those are some of the locks. Yeah, those are some of the locks.
Yeah, that we should talk about that in another live. Okay, Ryan says lack of unconditional love, lack of self-forgiveness, which is what resentment. It has to do with resentment, lack of self-acceptance, lack of positive health and fulfilling healthy family and friendship, lack of beliefs in my abilities, gifts, and talents. That's very good. Stacy says acknowledge, surrender, accept, and use it for the good. Hi, Anthony. Alexandra says, yes, surrender, let go of the past, acknowledge and appreciate and accept. Awesome. So we're going to move on. Yes, those really are some locks. Absolutely. Those are some locks. So,
and I'm sure every one of you can every single one of us should be able to notice or pinpoint either in ourselves or in a close family member or friend, something that is holding them back. See, you can't give them the key. They have to find that key. They have to unlock that lock. That's that trying to change other people. You know what I mean? That's the one thing. Anyways, let's move on, because I'll go on a tangent.
All right, number 3. What have you given so much importance to that is holding you back from necessary change? So ask yourself that. What have you given so much importance to that it's holding you back from necessary change? So I don't know. Like for I'll give you an example. Sometimes some people believe that it is, we're raised thinking, go to school, get your degree, get your education, go work for a company and get your pension. I don't even know if there's pension like that, but get your pension, get a steady paycheck, get your benefits and all of that. So some people put so much value in that. This is just an example. Some people put so much value in having that type of job that it holds you back from your greatness. If you have some amazing gift to give the world, and if you're like more entrepreneurial, like, you're never really going to deliver that thing that you need to deliver if on the other side you're wanting to hold down a job and you're wanting to, and that's fine for some people, but this is just an example. Or if your belief system is you get married and you should never get divorced no matter how bad it is, that's another thing that holds you back. That belief holds you back from leaving maybe a relationship that is no longer working, maybe a relationship that's causing you so much pain and is stopping you from your growth. And that belief could hold you in that relationship for 10, 15, 20 years and even a lifetime. And at the end of the day, these are the type of things that you'll be thinking about when it's all over. You're on your deathbed and you're going to look back, and that's when the regret sets in and you start saying, wow, I had that chance way back when to do this. I could have chosen that, or I could have made my life would have been so much more different if I would have done X, whatever it is. So those are the type of things that we're talking about. So think for a minute, what have you given so much importance to that it's holding you back from your necessary change? Raymond, what have you given so much importance to that it's holding you? You're very serious tonight. You're very serious.
Huh? No, I'm taking it in. I'm listening. Why can't I listen?
Oh, I don't know.
I feel like you're not giving me the chance to listen. Everybody else gets to listen. Why can't I listen?
Because you're on the show.
Well, but I can still listen. But listen, so this is what I think. I think, we tend to, right? I went through a divorce. I went through a business. I started a business. I did very good, and I left it because I didn't feel it was aligned. But let me tell you this: I stayed there too long. I stayed there longer than I should have stayed. And why did I stay there longer than I should have stayed? Because I was holding on to this false hope. I was holding on to this stagnant belief that I had. Like it was. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a place where you're like, this is good, but I know it's not great. I know, but so many people have given so much importance to their job title that they will lose their children and their relationships, and they will lose their joy in their heart to remain and hold on to a title, right? See, I think we got to get to a point in time for when we know, you just have to know when your time is over. If you've been with a company 10 years and you felt for 2 years it was just time to go, it's time to go. Like, stop holding yourself accountable to somebody else's dream and start to put yourself in your dream. I always say, if you work for a pension, right, you will live not you. If all you do is work for a pension, you'll never fall into your purpose. When you begin to pursue your purpose will provide your pension. Because they always say, get a job that you can that you do it and you'll do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
When you find a job, you don't want to do it for free, right? You need to provide an income for the things, your family, for food, for all that. But what you'll do is you'll work 10 times harder at it. You'll find the importance of the actually becoming who you need to become and the service you're providing to people. Right? And I think that's so important that you lock into what your true, authentic self is.
he said something so good, and then I kept listening to the rest, and I can't go back to it because now I don't know. I didn't write it down. There was a really good point you made there, but it went away. All right, Sam says, okay, Sam says, wait. Elke says, very true. Sarai, listen, Linda. She's making fun of that. Alexander says, I used to be much of a perfectionist. Thankfully, I now understand that perfection does not really exist. I now tell myself I am perfectly imperfect and understand that I need to leap before I'm ready. That is a great example of what we're talking about, because holding on to that thought of needing to be perfect is exactly what about number three. Wait, number three, which not that one, which is something you're giving so much importance to, is being a perfectionistic person, or being showing up as perfect when all we really need to focus on is showing up as our best. But that was a good point. Our next one is, your unwillingness to change will ultimately lead you to death.
Woo! I like this one.
Okay, go.
No, I want to hear you elaborate on it first.
Okay,
so look, okay, huh?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, to me, it's your unwillingness to change, which your unwillingness to change yourself, because that means a lot of things. Your unwillingness to change yourself, your unwillingness to change your circumstances, those two things. Your unwillingness to change either of those things or both of those things will lead you to ultimately to the death of who you are and who you could become. It also leads to the death of your dreams and your possibilities and everything else. And your willingness to change also means that you're unwilling also to change bad habits. You're unwilling to learn new skills. You're unwilling to take a chance. So all of that, if you're, and that really defines someone who lives in fear. And I know that there are people watching here, because fear is common to all of us. And fear is the one thing that traps us in. Fear is the one thing that doesn't allow us to change, and doesn't allow us to transform, and doesn't allow us to become our best version of ourselves. Because in order for us to be the most authentic and the best version of ourselves, we need to have the courage to show up as that person day in and day out. We also need to have the courage to demand from life what we truly believe we deserve. And that's the promise. The promise of that dream, the promise of that abundant life that we are truly meant to have. But that takes stepping out. That takes putting yourself out there in front of many people. That means going against the grain. That means going against your parents, going against your spouse, going against the status quo, never living in complacency. And that takes a lot of courage. So I know that's a hot topic for a lot of people, because fear is a very real thing for all of us, including me, including Raymond, everyone I know. But the most successful people do it with fear. It isn't that they don't have fear. It's that they do it. They still do it. They do it with fear, without fear. They just do it because they're loyal to themselves. They're loyal to their dream. They're loyal to their authentic self. And that's really what I think is what this really means to me, is that that's why there's that Prince EA. He has an awesome video about this. He has an awesome video about what do you think about on your deathbed? And I think this is exactly what it is, that when you're sitting on your deathbed, the worst thing, and Les Brown talks about that too, the worst thing is laying on your deathbed and having all your dreams go with you, that you didn't deliver them, that you didn't do your job. When we talked about this last week and the week before, which is our ultimate job in life is to bring out our gift. And it is to, and we're not going to live a life worth talking about if we didn't do that. That if we didn't do that, that pretty much means that we had an okay life. We had a just good enough life. And just saying that hurts me. Just saying that, I feel a little pain in my heart saying that, we can't live like that. No, yeah, it's hard. It really is hard. I'm talking this, but let me tell you, I know it's hard. I know it's so hard. Are you staring at me? Go say it.
I didn't know if you were done or not. But it's when you were like, so when I think of it, I'm 40 years old, of course. So I always think, I talked about it yesterday with the glass half full, glass empty, the pessimist, the optimist. The optimist knows both sides of the story. Like, the optimist knows, yes, the glass half empty, but I choose to see it as half full. The pessimist only sees it half empty. Like, so you got to understand, like, so when we talk about, when we talk about the unwillingness to change, the unwillingness to do something different, the unwillingness to see that something's not right, but I'm kind of just okay where I'm at, right? The unwillingness to know that your relationship is falling apart and not get the help you need, or make a decision see, sometimes people are just, we get into these relationships that we're not supposed to ever have been into, though great things happen throughout, but you can't build a relationship on sand. It's got to be built on a foundation. So the unwillingness to get into it, so many people chase the wrong things. They chase a job for money. And if you're chasing money, you'll never be happy, right? You need to chase the work that you desire to do. The money will follow. See, we always look at everything in the wrong way. And then we get what we thought we want, and we're as miserable as when we started. That's where the death comes into. So you have to be willing to change the thoughts first. The things that you put into your mind, the actions that you take on a daily basis, the willingness to be and become who you were meant to become. But when you're unwilling to do that, then it's the whole principle of you die at 25 and you wait till you're 75 to be buried, because you spend 50 years unwilling to grow, 50 years unwilling to change, 50 years running the hamster wheel, wondering why things are changing around you, but your life still sucks. And then you compare yourself to everybody else. That's the unwillingness to change that will lead to death that I'm talking about, is because when you do not so this is the crazy thing. I was in a mall one day, and this story just hit me. I was in a mall one day, and the girl and the guy were working in the kiosk, and she was doing artwork, beautiful, phenomenal artwork. So I said to her, you know what they were selling? They were selling those spinners. Remember those spinners that everybody was playing with? I don't know if you,
I
right?
forgot what
So
it
they're
was called.
selling those spinners, right? So I go over and I say, wow, that's an awesome picture. Man, you ever thought about being an artist? And she looked at me with just a surreal face. And I'll never forget it, because it really, like, it cut me, because I felt bad for her. And she said, why? So I can be a starving artist my whole life? And I just saw defeat. 20 years old. I'm looking at her and I'm like, you suck.
Well, that's this. That's this. What are some blocks you need to unlock, which is a self-limiting belief? That's a self-limiting belief, and it's also a belief that was inherited, because a lot of parents do tell their kids,
Oh, yeah.
like, my son is
Absolutely.
an artist, and I have so many people around me, so many kids that are artists, and that's what they get. Their parents tell them, "Oh, well, you're going to starve, or how much? What money? You're going to get a bachelor's in art? Well, how much money are you going to make from that?" So that's an example of a lock of that people. It's a self-limiting belief, and it's an error in thinking, big time.
And, I just want to touch on that one time too, because I want you guys to understand this. And this is the unwillingness, and this is the lock, and this is everything. So what she's saying about her son is so true, right? Because this is the thing. If you don't give up, you will eventually win. You will eventually have a breakthrough. You really will eventually figure it out. I don't care if it takes you 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. If you are 20 years old and it takes you 20 years to live, to get into a place where you finally have accomplished what you set out to do, you're only 40, right? So we need to understand that as long as we're pursuing something that's that in our life, not for anybody else, but for ourselves. Once we realize we're pursuing something that is pleasing to us, that is passionate to us, that gives us maximum potential, then we can understand on the journey we will start to align with our true authentic purpose. Because when God sees you moving, I swear, when God sees you moving, God will show up and make a way. I can promise you that. I can promise you that, because here I am today, 40 years old, and there ain't no dang way I should have made it. But here I am. You know why? Because I finally heard God say, just trust me. Anyways.
Well, I think also, I mean, you're the expert on this.
That's so
I mean, because you're the expert on the part I'm about to say. The Bible talks about your gift, and but it doesn't talk about getting rich. It doesn't talk about like you have to do things
No,
for monetary reasons. It does talk about like abundant, like that type of things, but not necessarily go for money. So what you're saying, I think, is very true. I think it talks about more about if you follow your dream, or not really dream, but your gift. If you do your role that you're meant to do, then the riches will come. But that doesn't mean monetary. That could mean a lot of other
absolutely.
things, you know. So it
I think when people like, it's the same thing when it falls into tithing, and I know we got to move on. We're trying to keep this thing, at a good time. But I think when people think tithing, there's those people who tithe thinking that they will be rewarded with finances. If you go to a church or to a pastor that tells you to tithe and you will be rewarded financially in return, don't go to that church no more. You need to understand that tithing, what you receive might come years down the road, and it might not come in the form of finances, right? It's going to come in the form of relationships. It's going to come in the form of community. It's going to come in the form of your children's health. It's going to come in so many different forms. I speak of money because I believe that I have visions in my head that I need to create so that I can give back. Yeah. Things that take money, things that I see that are going on in the world that people keep trying to change, that if we just had some stinking freaking money, it could create something, right? That's what I think. We can get all the people who want to donate. We can get all this. You know what? Let me go get some money and let me put the money where it's going to do the most benefit. That's some of the things. So anyways.
So Michael says rich, wealth, and prosperity come in many different forms.
Absolutely, Michael. Absolutely, Michael. Absolutely.
Stacy says, I'm so glad you are discussing things with ulterior motives. Stacy says, there you go, beautiful. Stacy says,
she meant me. I'm beautiful.
Yeah, she probably meant you, because today I must be the beast. Stacy says, took me 43 years. Stacy says, Raymond Wright we recognize that.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
I said, well, you said you die at 25 but are buried at 75. Like, we should have that written right in front of us every day. Read it to remind you of, you need to start running after your dreams and your vision and all of that now. Exactly. Optimists see it half full and the other half is on the way to overflow.
Amen. That's optimist. You're right about that.
Zori says, step out of your comfort zone.
You got that right.
Yeah, all the winning, Zori, all the winning is on the other side of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone isn't even
nothing grow there.
Let me tell you,
nothing grow there.
Like, honestly, the comfort zone isn't even comfortable. I don't think it's comfortable. The comfort zone is like, it doesn't even feel good. The comfort zone is boring. Don't you find it boring, the comfort zone?
It is boring. So I want you guys to understand, like, I'm on video giving you guys content and value. Look, if we went back 20 years, the only content and value I was adding was what I was taking out of your pocket to add to myself. and not in a good way.
Now we know.
Well, I just want people to understand, you'll never know where you can be until you take the chance, until you get uncomfortable. And no, the only thing that you should get comfortable doing is being uncomfortable in this world. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Put yourself in a circle that you never thought being in. Get into a conversation with somebody that doesn't look and act like you, talk like you, walk like you, think like you, right? And you'll learn real fast the type of people you want to put yourself around. When I found out, look, when my mentor said to me, Raymond, you're the average of the 5 people you keep closest to you. And I had to look at it and say, man, they like to party. They cheat on their significant other. They're drinkers. They hate their jobs. Most of them are broke as heck. I said, dang, I'm the average of that? That's not fun. That's not good. I don't want to be average of a mess. So you know what I learned? Somebody told me, you want to learn how to be a millionaire? Get around millionaires. So what did I start to do? I started to get around people who had money. Not necessarily all millionaires, but they were learning their finances. They were learning budgeting. They were learning debt reduction. They were learning how to knock out things and own things. They learned how to invest in things. They learned how to, whether it's precious metals, whether it's gold, whether it's stock market, whether it's real estate, whether it's this. You get around those people who think like that, in turn, you will start to think differently. And then when you hear the other side of it, you hear the broke thinking, you'll be like, oh, Lord have mercy, that ain't right. And then you'll start to sneak out the side.
Stacy has a great question for everybody here. She says, "Are you gonna lay down or are you gonna rise up?" So what's up?
Oh, I like that.
Are you gonna Are you gonna lay down or rise up? Which one are you guys gonna do? The next one is
Rolling,
the next one is,
rolling, rolling.
what would you do if you weren't afraid? That goes along. Oh God! Look, everybody, look what we got. We got Raymond
I want,
dancing.
I want every, like, literally. So me and Takesha talked about the other night. What would your life look like if you were fearless? Right. So tonight we're talking about what would you do if you weren't afraid? Would you draw that drawing and submit it? Would you write that book and try to have it produced? That movie, that production, that whatever it is, would you start that business that everybody told you wouldn't work? Would you take an opportunity to make a couple extra $100 if it got you around different thinking, if it got you around different people? What would you do? What type of person would you become? What type of person would you surround yourself with? Would you eat dinner in the most luxury places? Would you go on a yacht just because you felt like going on a yacht? Would you go stay in the most beautiful places in the world? You know why most people don't do that stuff? It ain't because of money. It ain't because of money. It's not because of money. It's because they don't think they're worthy. It's because they're too afraid to take a chance. They're too afraid to see what it feels like living a different life. When we go to Ireland next year, and we
Mhm.
stay in a castle, right? I'm telling you, people's minds are gonna be blown. It's
Hey
gonna
guys,
be blown.
and we're gonna let you guys know about it because whoever wants to go to Ireland, we gotta buy the ticket ahead of time to all of us meet up there. It's gonna be a big reunion. But what you said was so important, and I just forgot what I was gonna say. But it always happens to me. But what you said was so important because you said, "Oh man, I just lost it when you started talking about Ireland." But you were saying the fear of something. Ah, I lost it. All right.
I said the fear of a couple things. I was talking about
Yeah, Zori, we're going
the
to Ireland. We're going to Zori's like, we're going to Ireland? Yeah, let's
yeah.
go.
So next, it's either going to be next September or October is what we're talking about.
Yeah. So we'll just buy it ahead of time. Like we'll just look.
Well,
Zori says,
so
"Okay, I'm gonna pack now. Let's go."
yes, yes. So it's
Hey,
definitely it's for me. I'm trying to create a team trip, right? I think it would be so cool for, and I want to take my son too because he'll be graduating. He'll be graduating and stuff, or he'd already been graduated. So I think that would be cool.
oh,
But it's
so I remember now what it was.
good.
This is how it's gonna be. You were talking about the pain of, you didn't say pain, but you were talking about the pain of feeling unworthy, that we don't take chances because we feel unworthy. And that's very much attached to our fear because the number one, there's two big fears that everyone has. One fear is fear of failure. The majority of the reason why people don't jump into doing the stuff that they need to do or really want to do is fear of failure. But the next one right next to that and probably, attached to it is the fear of everybody finding out that I'm really not as good as it looks, or I'm really not worthy of your love, or I'm really not worthy of anything. So that unworthiness is attached to the fear of why people don't really move forward. And if you guys look at your life, and you look at the moments, think about the times in your life that you needed to do something, you needed to make a move, or you wanted to start that thing, or you wanted to take a chance on something, but the fear set in. Think about that fear. And most of the time, like 99% of the time, the reason why you didn't make that move is because you were so afraid of failing and how that failing was going to make you look, which leads into the unworthiness. Because if you fail, we've been told, like, if you fail, or the world has made us believe that if you fail, well, then you're just not good enough. And that I don't know where that came from, but the truth is, when you fail and you make a mistake and you let go of that, you grow and you move on and do things better in life. So we just need to change the meaning of failure. But I just wanted everyone to know, like what you said, those fears are the ones that have us locked down big time.
No, and it's when you are afraid, right? When you are afraid of things, I want to assure you this: it'll only get worse if you don't do something about it. I can promise you this.
That's
If
so
you
true.
do not do something about it, it will get worse. It's not good when you are so afraid that it keeps you from doing anything.
But it'll get worse for another reason. It'll get worse because here you are holding on to your fear, which feels like crap. But then on the other hand, you're holding on to this thing that you should be doing and you're not doing, and this causes you pain. And then
Yeah.
you're holding on to the pain that is getting worse because if you don't move on it, it's just gonna grow. You're just gonna stack up more and more story to that as to why
Absolutely.
it shouldn't be done. But on the other hand, you have this dream that is slowly dying, and that dream slowly dying represents your spirit slowly dying. Do you understand?
Ugh.
It ends up your spirit slowly starts dying. Your essence, your soul starts to die when you do not move on the things that are truly going to make you happy, the things that are truly like your vision, truly like the things that you could see in your future as greatness. At the end of the day, or at the end of your lifetime, let's call it, you're still holding on to that fear, but then on the other hand, you're holding on to those crushed dreams.
You know
So
what I call that? A hardened heart.
So maybe you end up with a hardened heart. Man, that I'm just gonna say how it is. That sucks. That was sucks. That just like that causes me so much pain in my heart. Like that sucks to end up like at the end of your life and you never had the courage to make a freaking move. You never had the courage to make a move, and on this hand, you're holding on to the dreams that you never realized, even though they were placed inside of you. And let me tell you something. Sometimes we might have like ideas. We might have ideas of like, oh, I want this or I want that and whatever, but then they're fleeting and they go away. That's
Uh-huh.
not the dream I'm talking about. I'm talking about the whispers from your spirit, the things that don't go away, the things that a year from now they're still sitting inside of you and they're causing you pain because you haven't moved on them. Those are the type of things that if you let 20 years go by and you never moved on that thing
Whew.
or you never took action, man, that is painful. That is so painful. So you know
But can I
what?
say this though, on top of that? Even if you are currently the one that let 20 years pass, I want you to think better late than never. You can still get started. Like you can still get started. Never think when I meet somebody and they I know Sarai because you work with people, they say, and they're probably like, I'm just at a place in my age where I just can't change. I'm just at a place, I just can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Well, you're
You
never
know
too
what I mean?
old, you're never too young, you're never too nothing, you're never too
Look,
poor.
never too nothing. Look, this is what I want to say when it comes to that right there. That's a pondering question you really need to ask yourself. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What is that? And I think whenever we start to get discouraged on the journey, I want you to understand this more than anything, right? Especially when you're starting something new. Something new is 2, 3, 4 years as long as you're doing continuing steps forward and growing and learning. But when you start to get discouraged, right, or you get uncomfortable, I want you to understand something. Even though it's a uncomfortable and discouraging moment, you're still so much better off than staying stuck in the fear. So I just wanted to touch on that.
Okay, and I want to say something else. So we said you're never too old, you're never too young, you never, a big excuse that people use to not change is, well, I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough. But something that we never talk about that is a big issue for many people, and maybe some people watching out there. Sometimes we have it too good. Sometimes our situation is too good that what if I try that and then I lose all of this? So sometimes thinking that having being too rich, having too much of, let's call it, like material things could
Mm.
cause you to stay stuck and not take a chance on yourself either. And
That's the whole thing we talked about in the beginning, though.
right.
Unwilling to let go, unwilling to let go. That job title, those material things, like you're so stuck on those things, it keeps you living a life. You might be in a horrible marriage, but because you're being took care of financially, you're unwilling to move. So you stay miserable so you can have material things.
Man,
Heck with that.
and you guys know that I've been reading the Bible because someone has talked so much about it that I got interested in reading the Bible. And there was something I read that was so good. It was about that. I'm sure you probably know it. Do you know what
What?
the scripture I'm talking about? Well, now I can't find it.
Well,
But
there's a lot. The Bible talks much about fear.
well, Carrie's there. She must know what it is because I ran and told her what it was. I forgot what it was right now. Maybe if I ever find it, I'll let you know. But all right.
So you're
So
all right. Go ahead. Keep talking.
so true. Carrie, millionaire, and the poor side by side. Hey guys, team six. Oh, Dion Payne.
What's up, Dion? How you doing, brother? That's
Oh,
young man
I
right
know
there.
who Dion is. Dion, we're trying to figure out a name for our podcast, so you probably have a lot of good ideas. He said team success, personal development, all that. Very true. Never thought about that. Good points that I don't even know what we're talking about now because we made so many points. So I don't know which one that was about. Yes, we're never too whatever to create change and achieve our dreams. Thanks for the reminder, coaches. Yes. So true, Sarai, when you got money, you always want more. Job, real job. All right. We have more banners. Well,
So yeah, let's go to the next one real quick. I also want to say in when so I think everybody knows when you're reading the New Testament in the epistles, I believe it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and even in Philippians where it does talk about don't worry about anything, instead about everything pray. Don't worry about tomorrow, for today has enough problems of its own. Like, see, we I always tell people, they say, I'm only living for today. When I was growing up in the recovery rooms, it was like, just for today, just for today, just for today, just for today, just for today. And I'm like, I understand that I got to live in the moment and be sober in the moment, but I got to start building for the future. So I would ask people in recovery, I would be like, what is your 5-year plan? They're like, I'm just living for today. I'm just living for today. And I'd be like, that drives me crazy. Like, you're not planning, you're not game planning. Like, so if you live 5 more years, you have no plan, you'll just live for that day too. Like, I just never could understand that, right? So, you know what I'm saying? So I think in Timothy 2:1-7, it says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. Oh boy, that's powerful when you start to talk about self-discipline, because without self-discipline, you can't accomplish anything anyway. So let's go to the next point.
I found the scripture I was talking about, and I'm going to say what it is. It's Proverbs 17:1. It says, better is a dry morsel with quietness than a house full of feasting with strife.
I didn't even know we were talking about that.
I was talking about that earlier, that some people have it so good that they won't even get out of it because of the material stuff, because they're so comfortable.
That's I think that scripture right there is talking about like hostility and turmoil and everything. Sometimes people, there's no arguing, there's nothing. It's just there's nothing. There's no intimacy. There's nothing. It's just a relationship based off material things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're not promised tomorrow. Job is a scripture in the Bible. It's pronounced Job.
Job is phenomenal. Job is phenomenal. Most people, if most people read Job, they would have such a huge more understanding and faith in what it means to actually not have anything hold you except for the Lord himself. But anyways, what's the next point?
The next one is, let me see what the next point is. I'll go over these at the end too. The next one is movement in a new direction helps you find new meaning and helps you discover yourself. We've been talking about this the whole time.
We have been talking about that the whole time.
Movement in a new direction. So guys, number 6 is movement in a new direction helps you find new meaning and helps you discover yourself. And I'm just going to add, it also helps you create new meaning. It also helps you create a new narrative and a new story. Because, I was talking about the stories that we tell ourselves to justify staying in that place that we really should be out of. But moving in a new direction helps you create a new narrative and helps you further the narrative of that dream and that vision that you have. Remember, we were talking about that too. Like, you could have my vision is a lot the same of what it was when I was 20 years old. However, my vision has expanded, it has evolved, and it has changed along the way, and I've allowed it to do that. And this is what this is talking about. The more you move towards the new direction and into that place where you're growing, the more you're also going to find new meaning, and you're going to discover more of yourself, because it's just an evolution, and that's what we're really aiming for. Actually, that's what Raymond and I do. That's what we're transformational coaches, and we help you transform and evolve by discovering more of yourself and discovering and giving more meaning to your life. You know, sometimes we get stuck with, well, I'm just like what you were just saying, we're just alive, we're just going through it, and we're just doing today, and that's it. That doesn't have a lot of meaning. So what we do is help you discover and start giving meaning to your life so that you can start living life on purpose and with intention. And if you don't have meaning, if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a vision, then you're not really living life with intention. You're just waking up and going to bed and doing what's next. You're just like a feather flying in the air according to how strong the wind blows you. If it blows hard, and you move a little farther, and if it just blows a little bit, then you barely move that day. And who wants to live like that feather? We want to have control over our life, and we want to have intention, and we want to be deliberate in our decisions and in our actions and everything. So yeah. Do you want to say something about that?
Oh, I want to say, the only thing I'm going to say about this is when you make a decision to move in the right direction, you won't be run by your fear anymore. Not that the fear won't arise, but you won't let it to run your life anymore. Some people's lives being run by fear, right? And I want you to understand this. In Corinthians 1, 6:12, it says this. It says, you say, and I think I've shared this before, it says, you say, I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. And even though I am allowed to do anything, I must not become a slave to anything, right? And I want you to understand that. I don't know if some of you guys really, if you have your Bible, read it. And it says in Corinthians 1, 6:12, I'm going to read it one more time, right? And he's speaking that God gives us the free will. He gives us. God is not going to oppose his will on you. But once you make a decision to follow God, God will start to pave the way for you. It's like, about time. I've been waiting for you for 35 years, Raymond, right? But this is what it says. It says, you say, I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. And even though I am allowed to do anything, I must not become a slave to anything. And that whole statement right there, all I want to say is this. You have to be careful of of what direction you're moving in. Because if you think that you are moving in the right direction based on somebody else's agenda, I talk about it all the time, based on somebody else's experience, based on somebody else's lifestyle, then I'm telling you, you will become a slave to trying to find happiness in somebody else's life.
Mm-hmm. Good. So Jess says it's okay to plan for the future, but we're not promised tomorrow. And actually, you know, that's true. And that's actually that's what we've been talking about too. Like that's a major motivator.
I don't want to interrupt you, but remember, we got something at 9, so.
Oh yeah, okay. So that's a major,
ready to wrap this thing up.
that's a major motivator. Actually, that's how Steve Jobs. Oh, like if you look up Steve Jobs, almost all his quotes have to do with, well, I mean, and maybe he called his death really soon because he died young. But that's what he always talks about. Like live as though you're going to be gone tomorrow. So that means put it all in today. Like live. That's again going back to living with intention and being deliberate in the things that you do. So true. The next one is so true. We're robots living life the same every day. So this thing that I keep saying, so true about living like robots. Hopefully today we're able to jolt you and we're able to help you maybe think about a little bit. Maybe tonight, you know, think about this, get a notebook and a pen and think about how are you living like a robot? What changes could you make in your life? What fears could you challenge beginning now so that your life could be more fruitful and so that you could get more of what you really want out of life and so that you could really start to realize some of your dreams. And we're not promised tomorrow, so you got to do it today. You can't wait another 10 years. Like think about the legacy that you want to leave. And yeah, we all, you know, like the other day we were talking about that too, about time. And we all have 24 hours in a day, but we don't all have the same amount of years to live. So you got to make the best out of every day. You got to try every day. And I know it's so hard because I'm saying it, but you know, God knows that it is hard. But you got to live every day with the most intention possible and be as true as possible to yourself. And you know, other people's happiness is important, but not more important than your happiness. If you're not pouring into yourself and if you're not really living a life that's aligned with what your values are and what you feel is going to make you happy, then you're not showing up as your best self. You're not going to show up as your best self at all if you're not doing that. Raymond says the time is now to take action. And we have one more last point, so I'll do that one. Wait a minute. Last point. So the last point is, wait. Oh,
that might be the last point.
That was the last point. That was the last point. Yeah, we have a call at 9. So guys, just, you know what I would like to hear from you guys? Tell us in the comments, like, what was your biggest takeaway tonight? What do you think you could start taking action on in your life? What have we talked about tonight that you have been part of? You've been part of this conversation. What is, just type up one point that you could start thinking about. You could start thinking about tonight going forward. You know, like Raymond said the other day on his live, he was talking about we have 6 months left. And what are you going to do with the rest of this year? What are you going to do with the rest of this year so that 2021 you could come out, you know, like just kicking butt, right? So what are some point that we made tonight that you could really start thinking about and moving forward with? Dalia wrote, okay, I always knew what I wanted to do since I was 13, 14 or years old, which was to do hair. I loved it. I went to beauty school and got my hairstylist license before I finished high school, and also got married. I worked for a few months as a hairstylist, but got pregnant and started bleeding. And the doctor told me I had to get off my feet, so I did. And God blessed me with a beautiful little girl called Elton. I stayed home taking care of Elton, and my husband didn't want me to go to work anymore, and I enjoyed. Well, that sounds like your initial dream of being a hairstylist got replaced with a new dream of being a mom and taking care of your daughter. I mean, that happens too. That's part of the evolution. You know, our dreams could change. Y'all came with the truth today. Yeah, Carrie. Oh, by the way, guys, Carrie's going to be with us next week. Woo woo. You're not even putting any music. Elkie says, thank you guys both so very much. That was great. Sending lots of love and beautiful light to everyone always. Thank you, Elkie. Elkie is like, there's like a group of like 5 to 10 people that are #1 fans, and Elkie is definitely like right up there. I'm never to anything to do anything. Ooh, that was her takeaway. I enjoyed tonight's conversation very, very much. Thank you guys. You know, and I'm never to anything to do anything. That's definitely me, because to me, age isn't even it's just age is just something that says how long we've been here, but age, it means absolutely nothing to me. Energy is everything. The energy that you bring, the energy that you do things with, the energy that you have for your life, the passion that you live with, the passion that you know, the passion that you have relationships with, that is really what's everything. Dalia says, exactly. Hey, Adrian, what's up? I'm feeling much better now. And Elkie says, woo, 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 woo. I said, woo, woo. Raymond, all right. You want to say something?
No, I'm ready to go.
Are you going to say bye to our people?
So to say bye to our people. I was ready to say bye 10 minutes ago.
All right, guys. That's how Raymond's going to end it, because usually.
No, I got more. I wanted to finish off with something, but you went on your little tangent. So
finish. I have stuff I want to say too, but I'm stopping.
No, I seriously, I got it. We got to prepare, and I got to use the bathroom so bad. I'm not gonna lie.
Close your ears, people.
No, listen. I have a pot of coffee in me, guys. You know I have to get prepared. But look, all I'm going to say is this, and then because I do have to go, she can stay on and talk to you, but I do have another obligation, and remember I said I talked about being punctual and being on time, and yeah, so I need to make sure I stick to that. But I want you guys, as you go through your journey, write it out. You need to guys start writing everything out. Change happens when you make change, right? Anticipate change. Always be prepared, right? Always be prepared for change. Monitor the change that you're in. Understand where you're going. Never just accept it. Always understand what's going on around you so you can maneuver through it, right? And then adapt to it quickly. Things are going to freaking happen. They're going to smack you in the face. Adapt quickly. Change is going to happen. Whether you evolve with it or not, it's going to happen. And then I want to, you guys know I love you to pieces. I've had to use the potty for about 40 minutes. So I love you guys. We'll see you next Wednesday. I guess Wednesday at 7:30 is going to be the time from now until something changes, because it seems to work better for everybody else.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all. I hope you guys got some value out of this. I hope you guys are taking notes. You ain't got to write down the whole talk, but I really do hope that you're taking things that not what we're saying, but what you're hearing that you're going to implement into your life. That's the important thing. It's not the things that we're talking about that have helped us, even though we speak that because that's the transformational process that helped us and we know will help others. But really, it's really your decision. It's your choice. It's your life. It's your move next. And you get to choose what move you want.
Yeah. And
So
guys, with that, he's going to the potty. And with that, I'm going to say, you guys, I'm going to be mailing out, I'm going to email out all this stuff that we talked about today and the 6 points that we talked about. I'm going to email that out to you guys tomorrow. If I don't have your email and you're not on my email list, go ahead and send it to me through Messenger, and I'll make sure you get this message tomorrow as well. So go ahead and send me your email if you want to receive this. I have almost everyone's email, but go ahead and send it if you haven't given it to me. And that's it. Good night, everyone. I'll be on tomorrow night with Thursday Thrive Talk with Jeffrey Berger. I'm super excited to come back because I haven't done a Thrive Talk for like maybe 2 months. A lot has happened over the last 2 months, and I'm ready to come back. Come back. What? Are you doing again? Did you take the Reptar? Look, now he gets funny when we're leaving. When we're leaving, he gets funny.
when you got to use the bathroom as bad as I do, you get goofy.
All right. Good night, everybody. Bye. Bye. Good night, Adrian.
Love you guys. Have a blessed night.